So over the past videos I've received so many questions regarding a lot of the poultry videos, but also cattle and so on, and most of those questions I've answered in detail in one or several videos over the past year that we've had this channel. And I really want to encourage you to go back and watch, but I understand if that takes up a lot of time. A lot of people come with recommendations and are wondering different things, and I just want to answer a few of those questions again, but also some new questions that have come. So it's going to be kind of a Q&A today where I'm going to talk a bunch. So dust baths and all of that, you guys see here that I have sawdust, not wood shavings but sawdust. I have ashes from the oven, and naturally there's a little bit of charcoal in there as well, and then I have sand, so I use a third about of each. I mix these together, and occasionally I give these to the chickens so that they can take their dust baths in there. Now they also like to do it in the wood shavings that are on the chicken floor. Now a lot of people have questions about the deep bedding system and all of that, and again I've made a whole lot of videos regarding that, a lot of videos, so just go back to that. Now people asked about the cow stable that I'm turning into a chicken stable. What about ventilation? Well, it was a cow stable, there's ventilation in there, of course, but again, if you do chickens right, obviously they produce moisture, and especially if you have them in a greenhouse tunnel, which I had last year, you need to monitor the moisture and make sure that that works out for you. But again, if you do it right, there shouldn't be much of an odor. You really do that with the deep bedding. And then there were people talking about, you know, with this material decomposing and so on. Well, a deep bedding isn't a full-on compost pile. It kind of works in the same way, but it is a very, very slow burning, a very slow process. It's not like a compost pile, but it's really beneficial for the chickens, all the bacteria and everything in there. So people asked about those things. Then I was talking about roosts, putting roosts there for the hens and not for the roosters, and somebody had commented I should use roosts for the roosters as well. And there's a reason why I don't do that. It's not just because the law doesn't require it. We have a lot of concepts in our mind, what is best for the animals and so on. And if we look in nature, if I look at my chickens, where they go at night when they are in a more like forestry landscape, I don't see them flying up high. I see them most of the time trying to find shelter in bushes and so on. Now I'm not in denial that some chickens like to go up higher, but I think it's different with turkeys, who definitely like to go up higher. Now, if you know, there's recommendation that was made to me to use roosts for the roosters. My dad, who has been working with poultry for over 30 years, he told me from the beginning that when you work with chickens and you sometimes go to these places where you show off, like a chicken show where you show off your breed and you try to get good grades for your hen and for your rooster, none of these will put their chickens on a roost at a younger age, at least, because it deforms them. And if you look in nature, a hen will not go on a roost with its chicks. For a long time the hen will stay on the ground and covering the chicks, and the chicks will not sit on a roost for quite a long time. And even later, when they get a little bigger, they will still for quite a long time find shelter together and cuddle up and stay warm in the spring, when naturally chickens would hatch their chicks. And so it is not that important. In fact, it could be bad to put roosts in there. And you know, there are farmers in the US, for example, that don't use roosts for their chickens. Joel Salatin is one of them, and his chickens are completely fine and good. And I feel like the roosters especially, you know, they need to have this where they can cuddle up on the bottom and stay together. And when you have the roosts at the same spot in the stable again, all the manure load will go to the same spot, and you have other issues. There are obviously some benefits for roosts as well. I'm not in denial of that. Then I received a question from a viewer how many chickens she could have, or he could have, I don't remember if it was a guy or girl, on an acre and a half. Now this is a very interesting question because there are many different ways of having chickens and keeping chickens. They're very land intensive systems and they're land extensive systems. And it really depends on the type of land that you have. If you have, let's say, pasture, you want to rotate them. Chickens are really hard on pasture, so you want to rotate them and not have such a heavy load on that pasture. But if you only have very little space, you can haul in a lot of carbon, a lot of wood chips, for example, and basically have like 1 foot to 2 feet of wood chips on the ground, and the chickens really dig through that. Their manure mixes in there, and then you can on a regular basis haul out that compost, and you can have a lot of chickens in there. I really recommend to check out the Justin Rhodes channel, where he with his family traveled throughout the United States, and he visited a bunch of different farms, and some had a lot of chickens on a very small space on wood chips. Some had them completely free ranging on pasture, and just to get it inspired at his channel, very informative, just to see what has worked for lots of different people, and you might find your climate represented in those videos as well. So I'm just gonna make him a space here. The chickens will just love this. Plus this is very, very beneficial for this deep bedding later as well. I will put this dust bath at a different spot each time, so this really gets spread out evenly throughout the deep bedding. Now you can observe your chickens and see if you think that they will need those dust baths, because they don't all the time. It's just important to see that everybody makes their own experiences, and it's different in some climates, and it's different with certain things, and it's just important to realize that there's some things that are the same for chickens no matter where they live, but there are some things that can be different, and there's not one perfect way of doing things. And it's important, you know, we try to have a thought behind everything we do with the chickens, and obviously we are open for new things to learn and see, but I think it's very important to realize that when there is a thing a certain way, it's probably because there's a thought behind it. So a bunch of people asked me some questions about the cattle as well. There have been a bunch of Q&A about this cattle breed, and people comment regularly about these horns. When you have this cattle breed, you do not dehorn them. I think that's kind of like this unforgivable sin with this breed. They're just kept because they're so beautiful. They're extremely calm. They are a very stubborn breed at times. They have a mind of their own, but they're very calm. And in that sense, they know exactly where their horns are. At the same time, the horns make it harder to have feeders for them and to handle them in tighter spaces. And that's why we want to eventually switch to the belted Galloway breed, because they have no horns. And there are a bunch of farmers here in Sweden who mix those breeds or basically put a belted Galloway bull on top of these Highland cattle, and the calves, they have no horns because the gene for not having horns is dominant in this case. I don't know how it is for other breeds, but in this case that's how it is. And one reason why we are also doing this right now is because the belted Galloway population in Sweden is not that big, and it is not that easy to keep fresh blood in your herd. And this way we're creating healthy cows by crossbreeding these two breeds. The other cows that we bought, the 3 Highland cattle that are going to be pregnant, they will first come in February, so that's still going to be a while. I will still have plenty of time to work with them. Let me just say real quick something to finish this video. There have been less videos because winter is the time of rest, also for my family. We need to take some rest in this time before this busy season starts all the way. And you know, if there's a little more talk, well, these are informative videos, and that's just how it's gonna be. We try to do our best, we try to keep you guys updated, we try to involve you guys, but family is more important, and this farm is more important. My job is more important. We still try to give you as much as possible. Take the time to go back to some videos, and especially if you're new to the channel, check him out. And again, this doesn't mean we won't be posting. There will be lots of great videos coming up. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the new video. Bye bye.